Hey music fans, Ari Koinuma here. Welcome back to the channel. So today I have a bit of a personal news. I recently found out that I am getting laid off from the job that I worked over 12 years. I don't want you to feel sorry for me. I think this is actually a great thing. I think that great things are coming my way, and this is a change that predates that. So in some ways, I'm grateful for what is happening. But that being said, is it a shock to my system? Yes. I feel that I did a pretty good job processing this. But that being said, a few days after the news, I hurt my back and I was on the couch for a few days. I attribute that to this feeling of the rug is getting pulled from under you kind of thing, and it's hard to feel safe in the moment. And that kind of thing really affects my back. That's kind of where my weak spot is. So that's how it goes. I think that you can work with your mind to kind of interpret and sort of put things in positive light, but emotionally and physically, it's it has to run its course. The system has to process what is thrown at them. While I don't resent any of this happening and I'm content to just let things run its course, it is a volatile time, especially in the tech industry, and I know that there are a lot of people who are going through what I'm going through right now. And being the musician that I am, I thought, this would be a great occasion to put together a playlist. A playlist that helps me, at least, take in this kind of unexpected loss and feelings that come from that and help my system process what's happening. As you know, I really believe that music are like friend that can stay with you through thick and thin. And when music kind of really speaks to where you are and the life experience that you're going through, it really creates this sense of solidarity, and you feel like somebody understands what you're going through. And while it might not seem fun in the moment, it really helps process that feeling and then get to the other side and be able to move on from that. So I put together a mini playlist of 5 songs that I think has helped me process this transition of being laid off. And I'm gonna just share those songs with you and tell you a little bit about what they mean to me. And I'm sharing the playlist on Spotify and Apple Music. If you have other songs that are helping you through when there's an unexpected loss or transition, I love to hear about it. So the first song is probably the most well known of this particular batch of songs. It's Radiohead, Everything in Its Right Place. So if you take a title like Everything in Its Right Place, you could mistake it for being a reassuring song, but this is obviously anything but. It's kind of a strange song in that there's this kick drum kind of keeping pulse underneath that, while it's steady tempo, it also feels a little bit incessant and unsettling. The thing about lyrics and repeating lyrics, there are a few different effects that can achieve, but one of them is building tension and building emphasis. He's singing everything, everything, everything in its right place. And with the backdrop of these garbled vocals and weird organ and things like that, you really get the sense of this disorientation going, oh, everything is not as it should be in this song. And therein lies the irony and cynicism. And there's this a sense of aghast denial almost to me, that kind of represents this sense of the rug being pulled from under you, and you're like, whoa, right? That initial shock is like, what is happening? And the song kind of speaks to me about that. Okay, the second song is Copeland's Chin Up.
Everybody knows that you break your neck to keep your chin up.
So those of you who don't know Copeland, they are a indie rock band that went from a little bit more abrasive, punkier sound to this kind of really melodic and serene and beautiful sound, carried by this beautiful voice of the singer Aaron Marsh. This song is really heartbreaking in a way because it's talking about how you break your neck to keep your chin up, and to me that speaks to the performance, the charade or masquerading that one sometimes have to do to sort of be a professional, to show up at your job and to do the work that you're expected to do. And we all spend quite a bit of effort in our life doing that. And just this sense of admitting that, oh, I mean, you're putting so much into your work, and then actually, but it breaks your neck to keep your chin up. There's just tremendous sense of vulnerability there, and how he effortlessly switches from his chest voice to head voice and just let it float up there without getting too angsty. It's just like, everybody knows that you break your neck to keep your chin up. Yeah, yeah, that just hits me right there. Okay, the third song is Tal Wilkenfeld's "Under the Sun."
We spend our lives rearranging everything under the sun.
So Tal is actually a music prodigy of sorts on bass. She's been active professionally since when she was a teenager, and had played with many greats, including a long stint with Jeff Beck. And this is from her only album showcasing herself as a singer-songwriter artist. And when I heard this record, I was just so astonished that not only her singing, but just the level of maturity in her writing. And while she's had varied and, to me, what seems like a very successful music career, but listening to the songs and the depth of sorrow in this album, I can't help but feel that she's somebody who's gone through some stuff. And this song is one of my go-to songs when I just need some grief released. This sense of we spend our lives rearranging everything under the sun, and that just speaks to the injustice that we feel everywhere, and how powerless we might feel against that. Because she's a bass player, if you listen to this song, and particularly if you see it play live, you can see that while there's a steady percussion layer going on and that keeps the beat going, but her bass is anything but steady, and it kind of weaves in and out of the vocals, and the vocal kind of floats up, again, similar to the last song. It doesn't scream in agony, it doesn't wail in sorrow, but it just kind of quietly kind of delivering this sense of resignation in a way, this sense that you're trying everything you can to make things right, but the sentiment in the song is that you can't. And part of the processing of something like a layoff is just sitting with the difficult feeling of somebody somewhere just made decisions a lot of times that are not clearly explained, and you just kind of have to sit with that conflicted feeling and process everything that comes up until you're done with that process. This one and the previous one is both about sorrow, but this one kind of I think hits it a little bit differently, just a little bit further along in the process where it's really sinking in this sense of loss. Okay, so the next song is Laura Gibson's funeral song from her album Beasts of the Season.
Ask no greater pardon than the pattern time is carving in your skin.
Laura writes this beautiful and beautifully sad songs that gives me this sense of things just caving in, and that to me is consistent with the experience of just letting grief just take over. You just kind of go, And so a song like that I can't listen to very often, but when I need it, it just really kind of meet me in that really forlorn place, that vulnerable place where you can't really hold it together anymore. The beauty of this song is that it just kind of really paints the picture. It doesn't really tell a story, it just paints a picture of what grief is like. And man, that brass in the bridge is just a stroke of genius from a producer arranger. I would not have thought to put brass in the song because brass is brassy and can be very energizing, or in some ways my natural instinct is that it's going to clash with what the song is about. But in this case, it absolutely works. It's that when that brass comes in, you're like, oh, it just this long brief respite of just majestic moment in the midst of this like sense of like caving in, right? And it just creates this sense of uplift. It's as if it's as if to say, in the midst of these difficult feelings, there's like a moment of crystallization, this moment of clarity that just kind of makes you look up and go, and that's just a beautiful thing. Okay, I know it's been pretty heavy so far. In the last song, I didn't want to put something that has a slight uplift to it, and so this is Vincent Lima's Somewhere.
We'll conquer every hilltop, and someday we'll slow up to turn around and be proud of where we've been.
So in this song, there is a story. There are two characters who both feel kind of overwhelmed about just the rites of passage. The characters are a lot younger than I am, but I do relate to what they're going through. At the end, they meet, and then despite everything, they're like, oh, well, now I have company. And I love that place where he goes higher in the melody. So again, repetition is something that builds tension through repeating. And then when you break away from that repetition, it draws your attention to that. And that is right in this third verse after hearing two verses that kind of go similarly. And then all of a sudden you lift up to the new heights in the third verse to emphasize that something different is happening, the story is taking a turn, and instead of being overwhelmed, they're saying, well, let's run away to somewhere ahead. And yeah, let us be proud of who we've been. So something like layoff can produce a lot of difficult, uncomfortable feelings, and it is really my belief that music is there to help us process that. Music is there to keep us company while we are tackling and sitting with these feelings that just have to run through our system, that just have to run its course. And there's no rushing that, there's no avoiding that, but music can help us as the companion along the way. I know today's episode was kind of heavy, but I hope that you got something out of it and you perhaps found some new songs that you can add to your playlist. If you have songs that are your go-to for processing difficult feelings, let me know in the comments and I'd love to take a listen. I'm going to share the link to the playlist in the description as well, so check it out and give these songs a listen. Okay, that's all I have for this episode. Thanks again for watching. And if you are going through a layoff and looking for the next thing, I just want to say I'm with you. We'll do this together. And I believe that we're going to be okay. Okay? All right, thanks again. I'll see you in the next episode.